What's up, Miss Conjala Cast? A quick explanation on ionic bonds. Ionic bonds is, like mostly everybody knows, most of the rocks and minerals made up on the earth are ionic bonded rocks and minerals, because most ionic bonds form crystal forms. Ionic bond is when valence electrons get transferred from one atom to another atom to make them stable. An example of that is taking Na, sodium, and which has one valence electron, and then taking chloride that has 7 valence electrons. Now chloride is going to take Na, 1 valence electron, and that's pretty much even it out, making it stable. But when they make that ionic bond, the result is sodium chloride, which is pretty much table salt. To give you an example of that, is that's Na with its 1 valence electron, and chloride when it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 valence electrons. All together, sodium chloride, which what we know as is table salt. Now, going to covalent bond. A covalent bond, you can say it's the same thing as a ionic bond, but the difference is instead of taking valence electrons from one atom to the next, a covalent bond pretty much is sharing valence electrons to even both atoms out. The best example I can give you for that is, let's take one hydrogen atom and another hydrogen atom with its 1 valence electron and another hydrogen atom valence electron. Bring it together and you get a covalent bond. Now, we've been talking about valence electrons. That's to give a brief definition of valence electrons. A covalent bond cannot be formed without valence electrons, and an ionic bond cannot be formed without valence electrons. Valence electrons are the electrons found in the outermost layer of the electric cloud of an atom, which can be shown right here. Yes. Valence electrons will be found out here. I gotta make this quick because it gotta be in 5 minutes. But valence electrons are the electrons that can be shared, gained, or lost. How many minutes now?
3.
Valence electrons are the electrons that can be shared, gained, or lost between 2 atoms or several atoms. Alright. The difference between, periodic trends is a way that people determine the size and the property of atoms with the electrons. Periodic trends is pretty much a quick way to identify an element. Electron negativity trend is one of the periodic trends that works best using the Pauli scale. You can tell if a bond is ionic or covalent using the electron negativity trend. Each element has electron negativity. Taking an element and another element and subtracting the electron negativity shows what bond they is. An ionic bond will fall between the electron negativity of 3.3 and 1.7. And a covalent bond is pretty much every number below 1.7 will be a covalent bond, polar or non-polar. Now, an example of that is taking sulfur, which has a 2.5 electron negativity, and then taking hydrogen with a 2.1 electron negativity. Subtracting that, how I said, you'll get a 1.4 electron negativity. Which will give you a covalent bond. Now that's a simple way to identify a simple way and a quick way to identify elements, atoms, and we running out of time, so bye, Miss Conjala class.